Section 309.0 of the Uniform Mechanical Code 97 states that all water heaters shall be provided with an accessible means of electrical disconnection. The National Electrical Code, specifically Section 422.30b, provides an exception stating that disconnecting means shall not be required to be provided for fixed electric water heaters. Some inspectors are interpreting the Uniform Mechanical Code 97 requirement as overriding the National Electrical Code exception, arguing that the Uniform Mechanical Code 97 is a more specific code and therefore takes precedence. This interpretation is not universal, and other inspectors may allow the use of the National Electrical Code exception, provided that the disconnect is otherwise accessible and lockable. If encountering this issue, contact the local building department for clarification. They will determine whether disconnects are required for water heaters in that jurisdiction. The Uniform Mechanical Code 97 is a code for mechanical systems, not electrical systems. It is possible that the requirement for disconnects in Section 309.0 is intended to apply to mechanical disconnects, not electrical disconnects. The purpose of a disconnect is to provide a safe way to isolate a piece of equipment from its power source, which is important for safety reasons in the case of a water heater. If the water heater is leaking or malfunctioning, the disconnect can be used to turn off the power and prevent further damage. The decision of whether or not to require disconnects for water heaters is ultimately up to the local building official. In summary, the key conflict revolves around differing interpretations of the Uniform Mechanical Code and the National Electrical Code regarding water heater disconnects. Some jurisdictions strictly adhere to the Uniform Mechanical Code requirement for a disconnect, while others permit the National Electrical Code's exception if the disconnect is accessible and lockable. It's important to consult local building codes to determine the specific requirements in place, because the codes ultimately are up to the jurisdiction itself. Now we can delve deeper into the technical aspects of water heater disconnects, covering considerations from both the electrical and mechanical perspectives. From an electrical standpoint, a disconnect serves to isolate the water heater from the electrical supply during maintenance, repair, or emergency situations. This is crucial for preventing electrical shock hazards to personnel working on or near the appliance. The disconnect should be readily accessible, meaning it should be located in a place where it can be easily reached without requiring tools or climbing over obstructions. The National Electrical Code outlines specific requirements for the type of disconnect to be used, typically a switch or circuit breaker that can be locked in the open position, also known as a lockout-tagout, ensuring the circuit remains energized while work is being performed. The amperage rating of the disconnect must be sufficient to handle the full load current of the water heater, as specified on the appliance's nameplate. From a mechanical perspective, the Uniform Mechanical Code's reference to a disconnect might pertain to the isolation of the water heater from the water supply. This is essential for preventing water damage during repairs or in the event of a leak. A shut-off valve, typically a ball valve or gate valve, is installed on the cold water supply line to the water heater, allowing the water flow to be stopped. This valve should also be readily accessible and clearly labeled. In some cases, the Uniform Mechanical Code might also mandate a thermal expansion tank to be installed in conjunction with the water heater. This tank accommodates the expansion of water as it is heated, preventing excessive pressure buildup in the plumbing system, which can lead to leaks or even burst pipes. The size of the thermal expansion tank is determined by the capacity of the water heater and the water pressure in the supply line. When selecting a water heater disconnect, whether electrical or mechanical, it is essential to consider the specific requirements of the local codes and regulations. These codes are in place to ensure the safety and proper operation of the appliance and the building's systems. Consulting with a qualified electrician or plumber can help determine the appropriate disconnects and ensure they are installed correctly. Improperly installed or inadequate disconnects can create safety hazards and violate code requirements, leading to potential fines or liability issues. Another important aspect to consider is the labeling of the disconnects. All disconnects, both electrical and mechanical, should be clearly labeled to identify the equipment they serve. This is crucial for quickly isolating the water heater in an emergency situation. The label should be durable and resistant to environmental factors such as moisture and temperature changes. The labeling should comply with the requirements of the National Electrical Code and the Uniform Mechanical Code, which may specify the font size, color, and content of the labels. Furthermore, regular maintenance of the water heater and its disconnects is essential for ensuring their continued functionality. This includes inspecting the electrical disconnect for signs of damage, corrosion, or loose connections. The mechanical disconnects, such as shut-off valves, should be exercised periodically to prevent them from becoming seized or stuck. Thermal expansion tank should also be inspected for proper pressure and signs of leakage. Any issues identified during maintenance should be addressed promptly to prevent potential problems. In addition to the electrical and mechanical disconnects, there may be other safety devices associated with the water heater, such as a temperature and pressure relief valve. This valve is designed to automatically release pressure if the water temperature or pressure exceeds safe limits, preventing the water heater from exploding. The temperature and pressure relief valve should be inspected regularly to ensure it is functioning properly. It should also be piped to a drain that discharges to a safe location, preventing scalding or water damage. Some jurisdictions may require additional safety features, such as a vacuum relief valve, which prevents the water heater from collapsing if the water supply is interrupted. This valve allows air to enter the tank, preventing a vacuum from forming. The installation and maintenance of these safety devices should be performed by qualified professionals to ensure they are properly installed and functioning correctly. When replacing a water heater, it is essential to ensure that all disconnects and safety devices are upgraded to meet current code requirements. This may involve replacing the electrical disconnect with a new one that meets the latest standards, installing a new shut-off valve and thermal expansion tank, and ensuring that the temperature and pressure relief valve is properly sized and piped. It is also important to obtain the necessary permits and inspections to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable codes and regulations. In some cases, it may be necessary to upgrade the electrical service to the water heater to meet the increased demand of a new, more efficient model. This may involve running a new circuit from the electrical panel to the water heater and installing a larger circuit breaker. The electrical work should be performed by a licensed electrician to ensure it is done safely and in compliance with the National Electrical Code. The location of the water heater can also impact the requirements for disconnects and safety devices. For example, if the water heater is located in an area that is subject to flooding, it may be necessary to install a flood sensor that automatically shuts off the power and water supply to the appliance. This can prevent damage to the water heater and the surrounding area in the event of a flood. If the water heater is located in an attic or crawl space, it may be necessary to provide additional access and lighting to facilitate maintenance and repairs. The access should be large enough to allow for the removal and replacement of the water heater, and the lighting should be sufficient to illuminate the work area. In addition to the code requirements for disconnects and safety devices, there may also be requirements for the energy efficiency of the water heater. The National Appliance Energy Conservation Act establishes minimum energy efficiency standards for water heaters, and many states have adopted even more stringent standards. When selecting a new water heater, it is important to consider its energy efficiency rating and choose a model that meets the applicable standards. Energy-efficient water heaters can save money on energy bills and reduce the environmental impact of the appliance. There are several types of energy-efficient water heaters available, including tankless water heaters, heat pump water heaters, and solar water heaters. Tankless water heaters heat water on demand, eliminating the need for a storage tank. Heat pump water heaters use electricity to transfer heat from the air or ground to the water, making them more efficient than traditional electric water heaters. Solar water heaters use solar panels to heat water, providing a renewable energy source. The choice of water heater depends on the specific needs and circumstances of the building. In conclusion, the requirements for water heater disconnects and safety devices are complex and vary depending on the local codes and regulations. It is essential to consult with qualified professionals and obtain the necessary permits and inspections to ensure that the installation is safe and compliant. Regular maintenance of the water heater and its components is also crucial for ensuring their continued functionality and preventing potential problems. In addition, considering the energy efficiency of the water heater can save money on energy bills and reduce the environmental impact of the appliance. So remember to consult with local professionals in your area.